There's nothing less refreshing than a lemon lime soda to me. I said it. I don't like lemon lime soda. I don't obey my thirst because I don't ever want a lemon lime soda. Well, I said it.
That is offensive to Latinos.
Welcome to Cleopatra. I'm Christie Bonna.
I'm Lynn Molly, and we're two Middle Eastern comedy queens digging up the funny from the first generation experience.
Our guest today is a certifiable cutie pie, a good friend of ours, and she runs a monthly show at the Hollywood Improv called Mermaid Comedy Hour. Please welcome Kari Assad.
Hooray! Oh my God, thank you so much.
It's weird to introduce your friend.
It is. I actually, on my podcast, Ghost Detective, we, every time I introduce, my brain is like, what if you forget their name? What if you forget their favorite credit and then they're upset and leave? My brain immediately starts yelling at me all these very invasive thoughts.
I feel like this is so silly because I just want to gab, but we have to, because we're like friends.
We're like really good friends, you guys. We're like very good friends.
I promise we won't be talking like this the whole time. The problem with friendship is you start mirroring each other, and then all of a sudden everyone's talking like this.
That's fun though.
It is really fun. No, you're right. It is fun. It's so fun for us. But sometimes I'll play back this podcast and be like, why was I Captain Vocal Fry for this entire episode?
Just like mimicking like the full voice. And
you were
stuff.
mimicking me. Because I'm Queen Vocal Fry, according to the internet.
I feel like sometimes my voice, I catch myself when I'm trying, I think, to be like a host of some kind, rather on stage, or like just trying to make someone feel welcomed. I'll just like jump to a really high pitch, and it's almost like I can't turn it off.
That's an on stage.
It's great though. It really works.
Thanks. Well, and it's almost like my breath, like it's like every breath is pushing out, and I like last night when I got home from the show, I just had to like lay down and like breathe. Like I felt like I had just like sprinted a marathon and like needed to like
physically exhausting to host a show. It is like emotionally draining. You like give everything and you're like so tuned in and you're like, is everyone okay?
Yeah.
It's like being the host of a very important dinner party and you're trying to get the vibe and you're like, is everyone liking this?
Make your own speech and hope your speech goes as well as the people who just had to show up and make a speech.
And then run around.
Yeah.
It never does.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So, as you know, this is a podcast where we explore multicultural identities. Can you tell us a little bit about your parents? You are Middle Eastern and Latina. Double trouble, baby. I didn't want to say trouble because it's not.
Double the fun.
Double the fun. Double the FBI searches. Sorry, that's upsetting to you.
We like to lean into stereotypes here on Cleopatra.
Right.
It's really important to us.
Mm-hmm.
We need another reason to not like ice.
Oh, yeah, right? Yucky poo-poo. I don't like it. I'll say that much for free.
Controversial take.
Ice is yucky poo-poo. All right? Don't want it in my water. Don't want it in my streets. All right? Room temp water. No, less crowded streets. I don't know. You guys get the second part.
Are you room temp water?
Always.
Me too.
What about you? Room temp or ice? And
I'll usually opt for ice.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, brave.
Can I ask you, how much water do you drink in a day?
It depends on if I went to the gym that day. If I go to the gym, I'll probably drink maybe about 3 liters of water in a day.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And then if I don't go to the gym, 3 ounces.
3? Okay, yeah. See, I feel like you drink a lot of ice water if you don't drink that much water. Because if you're always drinking it, you don't want to
be cold.
Yeah.
Right. I don't always put
ice.
No, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I always say it's very European of me.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking water European style.
Do you guys know who Jafar Khan is?
Yes.
Yeah.
He posted something like only white people drink ice water. And I was like, oh my God, same. Sorry, interrupted. We can talk about my parents.
Let's start with what water they drink.
Yeah, my mom, strictly room temp. She gets angry if there's ice in it.
My mom too. And when we
Yeah.
go to restaurants, my dad will always be like water, but not ice water for her,
Yes.
which is very sweet. But I'm also like, but I also don't want the ice water.
You do want the ice water.
No, I don't want the ice water. I want the room temp water, but I don't want to inconvenience the server in any way at all.
Yeah. Well, as a server, someone who served, room temp is easier to actually get.
Someone who served.
Okay.
In our-
someone
in our
who has
military.
served.
Thank you for
Kitchen
your service.
24, people
Yeah.
who are drunk and coming in and yelling at you. Yeah, because you just put it under the little water faucet and you don't have to dig for the ice. Just if that makes you feel better.
I mean,
and
I did
braver.
serve, but in your
experience?
time serving, I remembered you would have ice in the pitcher, so then you would have to like navigate.
Right.
Oh, y'all had a pitcher.
Yeah, we had pitchers.
What is going on at this restaurant? Sorry.
Fancy.
Fancy.
Yeah, don't want to brag, but I worked somewhere with pitchers.
I worked somewhere with pitchers. I was like pouring water out of a sink. Don't go to that restaurant, you guys.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to cut out this part.
That's okay.
Oh no,
I
this
figured.
stays forever.
This stays forever.
This is the restaurant where
Oh, the
she
restaurant
met.
closed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good. That's what I was
The
wondering.
restaurant closed.
This is the restaurant also where she met the love of her life. She
Yeah.
handed him some sink water, and he was like, "That's
He's
the
like,
one."
I'm in lead poisoning. Now I'm with you forever.
Till death
Yummy.
do us
Till
part.
death do us part.
That's an interesting way to trap someone.
Yeah. Through poison.
Yeah.
Manipulation, really? Yeah, if we're into it.
So did your parents meet through trap water?
I don't think trap water. What did you say? Trap water? Okay, I was like...
Also known as poison.
Also known as poison. I don't think poison was involved. My mom is from El Paso, Texas, which, as I understand it, is kind of like a little tiny continuation of Juarez, Mexico into Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So she's first gen.
Have you been there?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a real like moment from Forrest Gump, you know, where Jenny goes back to her old house and is like throwing things. It was kind of like that for her. But I thought it was fun. We stayed with her cousins and they gave me like Diet Coke at 8 a.m. So I thought it was like paradise. And
That is the best part about going to another country,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Just like no rules.
no rules. They had chihuahuas. Sorry, did you mean Juarez?
Well,
Not
no,
El
I
Paso.
meant both.
Okay.
They're like across the street from each other.
Yes, because we did end up going to Juarez that trip. Like we went on I didn't know what we were doing. We went on a bus. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, they're like, "You're in Mexico," and it was kind of a bummer. People were like poor and trying to sell you gum and stuff, and I bought a glass parrot and named it Mexico because I wasn't very creative at that age, and
A parrot named Mexico.
yeah, he sat in my room, and then I think my dorm. I don't know what happened to him, unfortunately. But yeah, so I've been, and it was like she has a really bad history with her family. There was like a lot of abuse and a lot of missing information for me. I don't really know them. I know like some aunts. I know the aunts, and I know most of the uncles, but I don't. There's a lot of. I'm like, "Ruh-roh."
Your grandmother?
I did get to meet her through life and stuff. Yeah, I did know her. She passed away in 22, but like we used to see each other maybe once a year growing up, and then they got into a fight because my grandma was like very religious. And she would like make my mom drive her to church every day. And there was like one day when she was visiting where my mom was forced to drive her to church, and we were at like some like theater camp thing. And because of the grandma needed to be driven to church, we were like left at the theater camp late past the hours, and they were like closing up and shutting lights off, and we were kind of standing there alone in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom like came eventually, but because grandma like made her drive her to church, my dad said she can't come anymore if she's going to be like interfering with safety of pickup times. So after the age of like I want to say like 10, I didn't really see her that much anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was she from...
She was from Juarez.
Okay.
from what I've been told and what I understand, and if there's any Beltrons out there that want to check me, you let me know. I was told that her and my grandpa went on a date, and she was Mexican, and he is like Mexican-American.
Okay.
So they went on a date, and they were past curfew, and instead of going home and receiving the reprimands, they got married. Yeah.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Just a lifetime of pain and misery instead. Yeah.
Yes. Everyone knows that marriage solves more problems than it creates. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we should all be rushing into marriage. I think that is the standpoint
After
of this podcast.
One date.
Yeah.
So they got married and had 5 kids.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Okay.
My mom was like she was like the next to last kid. So like in the middle area. And at the age of 19, she did high school like the way some people do college. Like she did like summer school and like got it done in like 2.5 years. And then when she was 19, she got on a bus and went to Minnesota and went to college and got her master's. No, she also did college like in 2 years. Like she did everything very fast tracked. She did high school and college in Texas, and then like got on a bus and went and did her master's in Minnesota, where my aunt, her sister, was getting married, and she met my dad there, who was like at St. John's.
Hot dad,
yeah.
We need to make that clear to the podcast listeners that Kari has a hot dad.
Hot dad. Mom's hot too, but
I haven't seen photos. Mom
Really?
hasn't really made the internet the way dad has.
I'll show you photos.
Okay.
Yeah, she's super cute. Yeah, like really good combo. I'm cute too, so like yeah, they're both cute.
So what about your dad's side?
Dad, his grandma came from Lebanon, and great grandma. Also, there's a lot of like missing pieces in both of the family stories, because like there was a lot of abuse in her story, and his story, everyone just like kept dying all the time. So I think it was his grandma or great grandma that came over, and like the joke is she came over with a son from Lebanon or Syria. It's hard to tell, like with the map.
It was one
and how it
country at
changes.
one point. Yeah.
So she came over with him, and she thought he didn't work good enough and sent him back and asked for the younger son to come. So
Whoa.
yeah, she was intense.
You can just swap kids.
I guess.
Cool.
If you're willing to wait, because
Good
it
to
sounds
know.
like a really long trip.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's like her. And then I never met my grandpa because he died when my dad was a kid. And but he like worked every day at a store, and it was like his store, and he was Lebanese. And his whole life with this was the store. And like they lived, I guess, traditional Lebanese, which is that everyone was in one house. So like the first part of my dad's childhood, they all were in a house together, like his cousins and aunts and like grandparents were all in a house.
In Minnesota?
Mm-hmm. And it was like a big house, what I was told. It was a very large like brick home and like multi-generational, like Encanto, but Arab. And then... So they were all living together, and then someone told me that one of the uncles betrayed the family, and they couldn't afford to live in that house anymore.
There's always the uncle.
Yeah.
Yep, we've got one. I'm not going to name him on the pod, but we've all got a betraying uncle.
I don't know who he is, because it was before my time, but that's what I heard, is that he screwed some business over.
Always.
And that they all moved out. But actually, I also heard that my grandma, who wasn't Lebanese, so my dad's mom, was thrilled because she actually hated living in the house with everybody.
Oh, wow.
Like she was very excited. She was like, I don't want to live with these people. Like, and so they got their own tiny house. But for him, it was kind of like we went from living in this big house to like a smaller house. And then my grandpa worked every day, and he was like a workaholic. And then there was a day the store was closing, and I think my dad was 11, and the dad died. The grandpa died like the day the store closed.
Do you think it's because the day the store closed?
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh my
like
God.
the day the store closed, he had a heart attack and died.
Wow.
Jesus.
And then my grandma became an invalid. So hot dad has like been through like so much. You guys.
I mean, trauma only makes you hotter.
Trauma only makes you
Everyone
hotter.
knows.
Yeah. So he like his dad died, and then he had to like take care of his mom through high school, and he had older siblings that were definitely helping. Like he was the baby, so his memory is that he would come home from school and like take care of my grandma and like change her diaper and help her and stuff. My aunts are like, he didn't do anything. Like we did all the work, but whatever. So I don't really have like grandparents. I feel like my aunts are my grandparents, or at least on his side, they're a bit more stable. And yeah, but it's really funny how my parents met, because my dad's sister was an ex-nun, and she looks really young, but she was like 12 years older than my mom. And my mom and her met, they lived in the same apartment complex, and they became friends, and they would like have movie nights and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom at work, she was like the only Mexican woman in Minnesota that she knew of, and she would like stick out and stuff. And at work, she met a Puerto Rican man, and this Puerto Rican man was very cute, and she thought he was flirting with her. And she was like, okay, what? Like, what's going on? And then he all of a sudden invited her to his wedding. And she was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I'm being betrayed by like this man I've known for like 3 days. Like, I thought he was into me. But
So why was he hanging out one-on-one with your mom?
And why did he?
Great questions.
Oh wait, somebody from work?
Somebody from work. So she thought they were having like a tete-a-tete, like a little whip back
Courtship,
and forth.
yeah.
Yeah, and it turns out, I guess he was just very friendly at work / maybe cheating. I don't know. And
But come to my wedding.
Yeah. And so she was like, fuck, like I have to go to this wedding, and I have to come with someone. And the big reason she said she had to go to the wedding was like, 1, out of spite, and 2, she said that there would be like dancing, like cumbia dancing, and she was like, no, I hadn't been to that in years, like I needed that, I had to go. And so she needed a date, and she couldn't find a date, and she was mad. And
No Hinge,
no
Bumble,
not back in the
oh my gosh,
early 80s.
How do you find a date in the Yellow Pages?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know like if she even tried. I just knew she couldn't find one. I have to ask.
I imagine you like hang your hair out a balcony.
Yeah,
Like,
you just send up smoke signals. Yeah, but it's Minnesota.
Hang around
just goes out. Yeah,
the town square.
it's also Minnesota. You can't like dress like a whore. It's so cold. You know, you gotta cover up and just like, I'm very sexy underneath this coat. I don't know, like so. She like couldn't find a date, and then so she told my aunt, her friend at the time, like, I can't find a date. I can't let this man win for flirting with me at work and getting married. I don't know what to do. And then my aunt was like, why don't you take my kid brother? And I guess anytime she referred to my dad, she called him a kid. And there were photos of him on the walls, but it was him at 19.
Oh, that's so funny.
And so my mom was like, I'm not a pedophile. I'm not going to take a goddamn kid to a wedding. But then time kept ticking. And she called.
So the age range got lower.
She was like, okay, fine. I'll take a child to a wedding. Fine. I won't kiss him. I'll just take this child to a wedding. And from my dad's point of view, my aunt is an ex-nun, and sometimes her ex-nun friends would be like, will you please take me to the symphony? And so, like, he would just take these...
He was an escort.
Yes, he was a hot escort, and he would take these women to the symphony, and as far as I know, he did not fuck these old women, but, I don't know what you did back then. You know, I don't know they didn't have Netflix.
Dad, sound off in the comments.
Hot dad, let us know, did you fuck an ex-nun? And, so he would just go, and he said he liked the symphony. So, like, he thought he was going to go pick up an old woman and take her to a wedding as a pity date, was, like, what he thought.
Oh,
and so he
sweet.
showed up to her apartment, and he was, like, knocked, and she said that she looked through the peephole and almost fainted at the sight of this, like, hot man coming to pick her up. And that she actually had to take a second and be like, what the fuck? Like, who is that? And then she opened the door, and he was like, you're not a nun. It's like what he said to her.
Wow.
I love this
And
rom-com.
she was like, you're not a child. And so
That is so...
they went to the wedding,
lovely.
and that was their first date, was a wedding.
That is so cute. I'm trying to think of what the name of this rom-com rom-com is not a nun, not a child.
Not a nun, not a child. Not a nun, not yet a child.
Yeah, I think it's got some sellability.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I feel like dating, they didn't tell me in their courtship if they ever talked about like dating or ethnicity, like was an issue. I mean, she was like, I think she probably stuck out in Minnesota. She's like darker than me for sure. And they did say, what I do know is like word got back to El Paso, Texas, that like Leticia or Tessie, they called her Tessie, moved to Minnesota and started dating an Arab man. And that was like the word, is that she is dating an Arab man. And like, my grandma thought she was marrying a Muslim man.
Which,
Yeah.
Allah forbid.
Allah forbid. But also, jokes on them, Lebanese or Catholics.
Yeah, and the whitest of
Saved
the Arabs.
in the nick of
The
time.
whitest of Arabs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
This same thing happened. I told my mom, because I was dating my boyfriend at the time in college before she had met him, and he's a quarter Lebanese.
Yeah.
But he's like the whitest man on earth. He's 3/4 like British.
Yeah.
And I told my mom, I was like, oh, I'm dating this guy. He's like a little Lebanese. And my mom thought I was going to bring home like the most Arab man. And she was so worried.
Yeah, and they're just like, just an American boy. Just an American
I don't know why
man.
my mom was worried about me bringing home an Arab
Yeah,
man.
'cause
Yeah, she married one.
she married one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she produced one as well from her body.
She made her own.
Yeah.
Yeah. The calls are coming from inside the house for sure.
Maybe she had enough. She was like, no more, please.
Yeah. No more. They never told me like what the story was of like that whispers were she's dating an Arab man. She's probably going to become Muslim. But no one told me like the story of like presenting him, and everyone was like, "Whoa, well that wasn't what we thought." You know, like no, I never heard that part. I just heard it never really got smoothed over. There never was like simpatico between her, my dad, and like her family. But to be fair, they're hard.
Very much like the Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't know, but we are pretty sure he's Muslim.
We're pretty sure he's Muslim, and
So your dad's Barack Obama.
Yeah, yeah.
Hot dad.
Hot dad, hot Obama, right? I mean, he made mistakes, but okay, yeah.
Like you're like, oh, those war crimes were
War crimes. Yikes-a-roni. They happen. Yeah, but
I actually put on my Hinge profile, no war crimes.
no war crimes. Separate the art from the artist. You know.
Oh,
I don't like his body from his politics, I guess. Anyways, sorry. We can.
So, I am staying in a sublet.
Okay.
And when I looked at the walls for the first time, there is a Roman Polanski poster.
Oh.
And I was like,
Their artwork is still available.
I'm probably vintage.
Fully
And I was like,
furnished.
okay, Roman. And it says like Roman Polanski, Catherine Denvenu. And I was like, all right, it's a kind of cool art. And then I went to the bathroom and there was a portrait of like Woody Allen. And I was like,
going
what?
on?
Oh, no.
Or like not a portrait, it was like a cartoon drawing like poster.
Be funny if you go into the bedroom
Like
and
artwork.
there's like a knitted sweater that's like cancel culture sucks or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. R. Kelly playing in the background.
Yeah, R. Kelly.
And I was just like, for a 350 square foot apartment, this is a lot
That's
of
a lot.
pedos. It's a lot of
Yeah.
pedos for that. So,
Aren't you renting it from a woman as well?
yeah.
Oh.
Does she seem like she's just like different than the other girls though?
Yeah, she definitely like was the first. She's not like other girls, and she actually like her favorite movie is The Godfather.
She loves her steak raw. I
She
can
likes
tell.
she just likes she
She's
knows
different.
a lot about cars, you guys. She can fix a car and she likes to take her shirt off when she does it. I don't know.
Sports teams, she has favorites.
She has favorite.
Yeah, she's on 2 fantasy leagues. She's so cool.
She's really cool. She wouldn't talk to us though.
No.
Yeah.
But she'll sublet to me.
She'll sublet to
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
No, she's a very lovely woman otherwise, but I was very taken aback because it's like, it's not a Woody Allen movie. It's Woody Allen.
It's Woody Allen.
It's a Woody Allen, like, I mean, maybe it is. It's in French, so I can't mocktail.
Maybe
you should come over
We
and
should
look at it.
translate, what the hell it says. Yeah.
But it's like a artwork of him, and I was just like, if I'm reading the room, I don't like what I'm seeing.
I don't like what I'm seeing here.
Maybe she has that disease that only seems to happen in sitcoms where your brain like stops at a certain point in history and doesn't develop after. So she has like no perception of life now, and she's stuck in like
She's
1984.
Like
yeah.
and 50 First Dates. Can you?
Yes.
Does she know who you are every day, or does she?
Who knows? As long as those checks keep coming.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, money, hooray!
Where'd this come from?
Yeah.
That is bizarre. So one of the funny things that I love in your stand-up, you have a really great joke about how that Mexican Catholics are very religious, but then they're also like kind of believe in witchy stuff. Yeah, that's not the joke. That's the premise of the joke.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what your experience with that is.
It's funny because my experience is a lot. It's funny because like I feel like there's two types of like Latino Catholics. Like there are people who are like would call themselves, or I guess Latino spirituality maybe. Like there are just people who grew up Christian, not Catholic. I don't know those people, but like there's like brujas where they are brujas, yeah, where they are like cracking eggs on people's heads and doing stuff, and that's like what they're doing. And then there's like Catholics who sometimes fuck with that stuff, but also like my mom is like, she's like, I'm Catholic, I do not believe in like that indigenous stuff. Like that's not me, that's not God.
Only the colonial stuff for me.
Colonial stuff. Yeah, like when we saw the movie Coco, we were like, we never did any of that stuff. Like what the hell? And she was like, oh yeah, the priest said we were getting too drunk in the graveyard and said we can't be there anymore. Like people were like getting like blackout drunk in graveyards and like falling asleep and like waking up the next day there.
Or not waking up.
Or not waking up. So yeah, I guess her and her community never did that. But so like she's like pretty Catholic, but like still that sense of like, and I feel like it's almost like Guadalupe. Like Guadalupe, if you like study like the history of her, she actually comes from, I believe, the Aztecs. She was Mother Earth. And if you go and look at Aztec paintings, it looks just like Guadalupe, because the Catholics went in and said, oh, actually, that's like the mother of God. That's so funny. You like her already.
You know her?
Yeah. She goes here. You know her? She goes here. We know her too. So I feel like, especially in like Mexican Catholic, there is even if they've tried to keep it separate, there is this veil of like, almost like indigenous magic, earthy feel. And I feel like there is a movie that I feel like encapsulates my experience with it, which is Fool's Russian with Salma Hayek and Matthew Perry. Did you guys ever see that movie?
I did a long time ago.
Yes. Like that to me felt like my parents.
And also isn't Salma Hayek like an icon for the like half community?
Well,
she's Middle Eastern.
She's Mexican and Lebanese. Yeah.
Her and Shakira, are icons. Yeah.
Shakira's Lebanese and Colombian.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But like in that movie, she's always like the baby kicked by the church, and so that means it's a sign the baby has to be Catholic. Like there were always like, we talked about signs, like we would pray the rosary if we wanted something to come true. And yeah, there's just like this like, there's like God and Catholic and everything's kind of like dead and stuff, but like I feel like the Mexican spiritual side brings like things to life, and there's just like more of a like kind of a magical thing in it, even if they don't want to like admit that from like the previous like bruja, like indigenous magic stuff. It like seeps through anyways, even if you are trying to be like Catholic. She would never read tarot cards or anything like that. But she like I went to I did a play in a Native reservation, and like it was called Unto These Hills, and we were all playing Native Americans, and at that time it was okay to do that. And and also it was
to announce.
It was
my most challenging role.
Yeah. And it wasn't like we were filmed and made $1 million or took roles away from Native people.
The Native people were like, we don't want this.
Well, they were there. They were playing the roles. They needed help filling the other roles because there's less of them for some reason. And so like we were there, and like the first night of us being at this play, one of the Native people there gave a whole thing about how this is a haunted place. This place is haunted. There are spirits, and they're not like saying if you believe. They're like, we're telling you, there are spirits that protect this land. Don't fuck with them. Be respectful. They will fight back. And like all the Latinos took it so seriously.
Yeah.
Like I had my rosary and I prayed it like every night in my room, and like me and the other Latino kids were kind of like, it doesn't matter if these ghosts if you believe in these ghosts, they believe in you. Like, just leave them alone.
Oh, I got a ghost believing in me.
Yeah. Well, believe in
I can
you
do
to
anything.
do terrible things, but like, believe to live in you and like absorb your body and stuff. But like,
Oof.
yeah.
Not to be the snootiest of snoots ever, but I did my master's thesis in Latin American magic realism. I hear it. And Gabriel Garcia Marquez, people would ask him like how he came up with all these like magic ideas. And he was like, this is like in our fabric. Like this is in our world.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super, I don't know, beautiful.
My family, like very religious, but then also my mom will be like, somebody gave us the eye. The evil eye, you know, and then it'd be like, and she's like, but I don't believe in that.
But I don't believe in that.
And then,
But it's all over. I don't know about your house, but it's like all over my house. So
it's not all
certainly-
over our house.
Oh, okay.
Like, well, I think there's probably like one evil eye or something, but my mom's very much like, okay, wherever you would like to put an evil eye, just put a cross. And it does the same thing.
Oh.
And I think something similar is going here, where it's like when you rely on some other spiritual force, it's almost like you're not trusting God, or you are bowing to some other.
Yes, there's a God war out there. Like some Christians or Catholics wouldn't even do yoga because like namaste at the end. But my mom is like goes back and forth. Like she'll do yoga and stuff.
Right.
She would just like imagine praying to God or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But like tarot out of the question. She wouldn't be into the whole egg cracking thing. But like she like I feel like sometimes she is like psychic, and maybe it's just like mom stuff. But like
I feel that way too.
Yeah, like
That's probably a mom. That's probably a mom thing.
Yeah, but like one time we were watching this documentary about this boy who burned in a fire, and we were upstairs, and she like came into the room and she was like, "Do you guys smell smoke?" And we were like, "No." And then she sat down and just started watching the documentary with us. And like, I don't know, maybe that's not a great example.
No, that is.
But
It's
like,
super spooky. Yeah.
And she's always like, one time she was like talking to me, she was like, does your sister have a boyfriend? And like, I think my sister had just asked somebody out like that weekend. And I was like, no, but how did you know that?
Okay, I have to interrupt a little bit because I feel like you told me this story on New Year's and there was more to the story.
Okay.
Where they were like, don't fuck with these spirits, and then didn't something happen? Like when this is Native American
stuff. There was like a few times where like people experienced stuff there. Like as far as the Latinos, like most Latinos like took it very seriously, and I think the white people they wanted to be respectful, but there were nights where the stage was apparently the most haunted. And so we like went out to the stage one night and we just wanted to sit in the space, which I guess was dicey and maybe disrespectful in itself. But you could be on the stage after hours. It was just like advised not to be there alone and not to be there too late. So like after like some party or something, we like all went out there and sat in the stage and we were just being very quiet. And then it was an outdoor stadium. So it like went up. And the stage was at the bottom. And so like up at the top where the concessions would be, we heard like a huge, as if like a door slammed, like very loud. And like nobody's up there, nobody's doing anything. So it sounded like something like broke, like or was slammed shut. And it was like all of us stood up at the same time. Nobody spoke. Like it was like uniform stood up, turned left, and it wasn't until we were out of that stage area did we all start talking. Like it was like a unanimous
Like
reaction.
you felt it
You
physically.
felt it and we're like, we gotta go.
Something's haunted. Something's haunted.
Yeah,
There's-
I mean, they would talk about. There was also another night where we were like all hanging out and like we were like on a porch drinking, and the cast lived up a hill, and like the stage was like a big hill itself, and then we lived on like another hill behind it or something like that. And then behind that hill is just forest, like forest. And so like we're all sitting there drinking, and this guy is like walking up this hill alone, and like he looked at us and waved and kept going, and like one of the girls who had like been there before like freaked out and started chasing after him. And I was like,
What?
I was kind of like, you know, he had the wave of a man who's drunkenly walking home. You know, I was like, he's just he's drunk and he decided to walk instead of drive or whatever. But everyone was like ushered to like break up and like go inside. And later what they said was that it would have been like the locals know not to go up there because we're like, it's like the big tourist attraction of the town was that play and the cast or whatever. You know not to go up there, 1. 2, like, not a lot of people know how to go up there either. And 3, he disappeared into the forest. And that to them was like the most upsetting part because there's no light in the forest. So he wouldn't have been able to really get through the forest. And all of that together is that he was not a human. He was a skin crawler. And they were like dead ass serious about it. Like people were like upset at the sighting of this spirit walking.
What's a skin crawler? Just like a demon, a spirit?
Like a zombie?
Like an animal shifter, I guess was it. He did look very native to me. Like I thought he was a native like on his way home, honestly. But
And he like waved and just disappeared into the dark.
yeah, into the dark. And they were like, that's not okay. Da-da-da. Honestly, I had to like rewatch an episode of True Blood to understand what they were talking about. I guess that was like a character in there.
I feel like this like it was like a summer.
It was a summer stock thing.
I feel like it's like really. I feel like I've heard so many stories of different themes and characters coming out of this.
Oh yeah, there's some very dark stories that did happen. It was a very crazy like haunted place. Also like the funnest time because I was still drinking and I had a wonderful time being drunk all summer. But yeah,
What was like the age range for
the age
people
range
involved?
was like 19, and then I think the oldest person was in his 40s, but he
Okay.
was an outlier.
This was
Everyone
your
else-
Nantucket.
Yeah, this was my Nantucket,
got
but
it.
you were like actually working very hard, and I was like drunkenly on stage every night, like I'm a bit like. It was. I mean, it's an important play. I don't mean any disrespect to the play. It is the story of like how the Eastern Band and Western Band are separated, the Cherokee, because somebody made them go on a long walk, and
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
Did they get like some white people to play the white people?
Yes. So there was there were white people. We didn't white face it. There was a lot of white kids there because there were like townspeople characters, and then there were dancers and stuff. And I played like the wife of the lead, and the guy who played the lead was like a town hero. Like everybody loved him, and he also did like woodworking, and he would be in photos for like native stuff like all over the country. So he was like a little celebrity. I always joke that he was like the Ron Burgundy of like Native Americans because he was like wildly inappropriate, but we had such a good time.
It's really funny.
And like, yeah, we would fuck around a lot. Just like being silly. And it was really cool and fun. And there was, I'm trying to think if there's any appropriate stories to tell on it. Other appropriate stories to tell on air. There was some pretty dark stuff that happened. There were like firearms and stuff, and sometimes, nobody got hurt that summer.
I was gonna say, sounds like the set of an Alec Baldwin film.
Yes, There was one time where they did aim the cannon at us, but nothing happened.
That was a joke, and that's
was a
okay.
joke.
And everyone knows it's okay to point a gun if it's a joke.
If it's a joke. Well, this was a cannon, but apparently it was empty, but it was a faux pas. And
like a Civil War cannon.
yeah. They also let us fire the guns at one point. Even they weren't loaded, but still, like I said no, didn't like it.
Is that what friendly fire is when you shoot something and
I don't know
it's
if
not
it is.
okay?
I don't know.
I know that they're like our fire team was pretty good. We found out because the next summer something happened at another historical place, but our team was pretty good. There were some wacky characters. Yeah. And then the spiritual stuff, it kind of died down for most people. But there was like a girl who was like sleeping with somebody's boyfriend there and like was just like being really mean to people. And she was like haunted all summer. She said she saw like dark figures everywhere she turned and felt like they were following her. And I was like, it's probably because you're a bad person and you're making but she was taller than me, so I never said that to her face. Yeah.
How do you feel like your spirituality like manifests itself now?
From all of that?
Yeah.
And your mom is pretty Catholic.
She's still Catholic. Yeah. My dad is Catholic, or too afraid to say otherwise. And but he's
most
Catholic.
Lebanese, because my boyfriend's Lebanese family, they're very Catholic as well.
Yeah, I mean, his family was religious. Like my aunt was trying to be a nun. You know, I don't think she made the cut, but she, you know, they were religious on their own. And yeah, I don't think my mom would have married like a non-Catholic man. To be honest, like it was pretty important to her. My spirituality, I used to go to church by myself throughout college, nerd alert, and then I always really liked chapels. I felt like there was a lot of warm presence in chapels over churches, and I still feel that way. Like if like the candles and the altar and stuff.
Truly did not know there was a difference until this moment.
A chapel is usually just like attached to the church, and I don't think you can hold mass in a chapel.
Okay.
And if you do, it's because like no, there's not enough people.
So chapel's like a little church.
Chapel's like come pray.
Church is like cool, yeah.
Church light.
Church light.
It's like the free version of church, but you have to subscribe if you want the full version.
Yeah, and you get to like you can't talk in it really. You're supposed to just come and pray and like light your candle and stuff. I still like those. I used to would drive, especially when I moved to LA and everything was like falling apart. I would like drive to the chapel and pray. I think a big breaking moment for me with spirituality was like one time I came to a chapel in LA and they had a fence up in front of the altar. Like it was like
That's so
cordoned
LA.
off.
Yeah. You can't enjoy anything because someone has messed it up.
And I think for some reason that was some breaking moment for me, and I kind of stopped going to church and stuff altogether. Also, they were in the news. The priests were doing stuff with the kids and stuff again. I think like a collection of that made it stop.
This is so funny to me because whenever I've moved to a new city and felt like overwhelmed and I'm like, I just need to go to a place of peace, I always go to the mall.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
That's my church. And it has yet to let me down.
That is so funny. No, hilarious.
It was the Prue in Boston. It's the Beverly Center here.
The Beverly Center?
Oh, yeah. That's where I go
Not
to
even
feel
the Americana.
Good. No, the Beverly Center. The air conditioning there is excellent.
Oh, air conditioning? Sure.
Yeah.
Are you someone who runs too hot? Or?
No, my apartment just doesn't really have great air conditioning. So in the summer, have you ever been to a West Elm? The climate control in a West Elm is
somebody put them in charge.
unbelievable. Just go there and sit and you will feel so comfortable.
That is so funny. I feel like I'm always cold in malls and stuff. I assumed you also ran cold too.
I do, but in the summer in LA, you want that central air.
And that's the least European thing about you, Lynn.
Full circle.
You run cold?
No, I think
just the air conditioning thing.
Yeah. And malls. Malls are very un-European.
Yeah.
That's the most New Jersey thing about me.
That is your Jersey side. Oh my God, hysterical. Yeah. My spiritual, I still talk to God and Guadalupe, I guess. I I've gotten really into gratitude.
Did God have you on his podcast though?
God hasn't had me on his podcast.
Why didn't you could have said Godcast. Like, come on.
Godcast.
That was right there.
I haven't, he's yet to call me up, but I guess that's also a good sign.
Maybe Guadalupe first. Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel very intrigued by all that. I feel like a warmth from like that side of it, not so much the Catholic church side, but more of like that like Mexican spirit that we were talking about that they tried to like cut off, but seeps through anyway. I've gotten into gratitude, and I noticed manifesting and gratitude didn't make sense to me at first, because manifesting and gratitude is all like, I want it, so I have it, and it's therefore, and it's so. Whereas like when you pray or in the Catholic Church, it's like, if it's your will, God, then it shall be. So manifesting is almost like the opposite.
My will be done.
You. Yes. Yeah. So that to me, I was like, okay, well, you're not king of the world. Like, what? Who told you could have what you want? Like, that's so weird.
Oprah's book club says otherwise.
Oprah's book club. Oprah was like, I don't know if you heard, but I'm God. So no need to consult the Bible. Yeah.
Right. Well, I do believe to a certain extent that you have to attune your frequency to be receiving of like gifts or opportunities. And if you don't think you're worthy of something and you don't try to manifest it already, or by thinking you deserve it, then you won't get it.
Yeah, no, I think I've gotten much better at that now, at accepting that I am deserving. But it kind of took me to realize that even if...
Which I guess is different than manifesting. Sorry, yeah.
No, well, it's an interesting point, because like in Christianity, especially Catholicism with the guilt shit, like they are always telling you, you weren't supposed to be at this table with God, but God said you can be there. Mm-hmm. And that, I think when you're told that so young, you do begin to be like, well, do I deserve anything?
Yeah.
Like, wow, God's the original mean girl.
Mm-hmm. Or whoever wrote that.
You can't sit with us.
Yeah, well, you can, but because he said so. Otherwise, we wouldn't have let you, you know? Like, Jesus
Ultimate
died for your sins, but otherwise, we would have, like, hated your ass. Like, it is, like, I think you do.
Well, yeah, then there's the whole forgiveness aspect. It is interesting. Like, there are so many different versions. There's, like, the angry version, and then there's the loving... renewing God, you know, and I feel like I've transitioned more from like angry, vengeful God to like renewing, forgiving.
Well, I had to like have a conversation with myself, because I think manifesting and not so much the gratitude stuff, but manifesting felt like ick to me. And I think it was because of like early teachings of like, you don't deserve to be here, but because of God's love, you are here. Mm-hmm. And so I had to like, I still feel connected to a lot of like good things in Christianity, that like, you know, serving others, and, you know, he was like, be nice to your neighbor and shit. But like, I think I had to like talk to myself about that. And I still deal with like, do I really deserve this? Like all the time. Yeah.
It's the issue of worthiness. Yeah.
I think both you beautiful angels deserve it all the time.
Thank you, baby.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
saying that. Oh my God.
So we have some questions that we'd like you to answer. The first question is, Cleopatra was the queen of luxury. What is one bougie item or luxury that you indulge in?
I think I have one answer for you, but
I'm really curious what you think it is.
Oh, it's like the newlywed game where you both show your...
Oh my God, Lynn and I would be so good at the newlywed game. I'm a pretty bougie eater in general and drinker of like the annoying Air One things.
I was going to say the bougie sodas.
The bougie sodas. Yeah. Actually, right now, I would say it's my daily chai. I'm looking at my bank account, and that is
give us this day our daily chai.
Yeah, I like walk to groundwork every day, and I get a chai. And sometimes if I walk in, they'll have it ready before I get to the cash register because I order it so much.
Well, that has herbs in it, so it's basically medicine.
But I make them put agave in.
Agave's from the earth, so
Yeah, I do have the bougie sodas for sure.
You've hooked me onto them. Now I buy that. Yeah.
Everyone check out Zevia, and then maybe they'll put it in restaurants and I don't have to drink Diet Coke anymore.
And we'll be sponsored by them. Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like if you don't drink, you're allowed to have the bougiest soda you want. You got to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
It is like so hard. The times where I just don't drink for, a month or so, I'm just like, I mean, you do stop craving it, but you do want something. You want a little sparkly treat.
A little sparkly treat.
And sometimes the like mocktails, they're so sweet.
But they're like, here's some juice. That'll be $12.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Or it's just like Sprite with mint in it.
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started on a virgin mojito once. It was Sprite with mint in it. And I was like, this is not a mocktail.
That's not a mocktail. I want you to squeeze the cherries yourself.
I want you to muddle the Sprite. At least muddle.
And put it in there. Make me feel like an adult. I'm not a little baby who needs Sprite. Okay.
Why not just drink water? Like at that point with the
right.
It's
just have
like
a Diet Coke. Honestly.
Right? Like
get your chemicals.
I don't like to be like dehydrated and not drunk. Like then I'm mad.
There's nothing less refreshing than a lemon lime soda to me. I said it. I don't like lemon lime soda. I don't obey my thirst because I don't ever want a lemon lime soda. Well, I said it.
That is offensive to Latinos because we love our 7-Up. You get sick, you get a 7-Up. I used to get sick to have 7-Up.
Wait, I thought ginger ale is like the cure-all.
No.
Not Latinos.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You buy if you get sick, you get a 7-Up.
Okay.
And that was the best part of being sick was getting 7-Up.
From now on, whenever you're sick, I'm going to show up at your door.
With the 7-Up.
Do they make a Zevia version?
They do.
Oh, yes, they do.
I'm going to give it to Christie.
I can't wait. And I'll probably love it. And I'll be like, all right, you won me over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are there any customs from your dad's side or your mom's side that you
like?
Yeah,
that you do. Dad, the customs from there are like both, I would say, are food related due to everyone being dead or abusive. I'm
sorry. On account of the abuse.
On account of the abuse and death, I would say food is the thing that has persevered. Like, he would make lubier for us, and he'll make hummus, like homemade hummus at home, and he definitely doesn't stuff leaves at home or anything like that, or make baklava, but he takes a lot of pride in the food that was like passed down to him, and he was very excited. One time he made lubier, he made lubier, and like the lamb was
It's pronounced lumpia. Just kidding. No.
I was like, don't you do that to me. That's a different dish.
I know, that's Filipino.
Don't you come for me, YouTube, okay?
Also, for our Syrian...
That seriously killed me. I was like, am I saying it wrong?
No, well, for our Syrian listeners, it's fasulia, but I'll...
Well, what are you talking about?
It's the green beans with the lamb and the tomato sauce.
Okay, what did you call it?
In Syria, it's fasulia, but I know in Lebanon,
but what did you say?
Oh, I was just kidding.
You said lumpia, which
I
is
said
actually,
lumpia, which is Filipino.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was like, don't you trick me. I know what that is.
I was trying to make a little ha-ha to pronounce this.
It's actually pronounced Lululemon, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, exactly.
Lululemon trademark.
It's actually pronounced, this little riff completely failed and I've ruined your story.
No, it's okay. I think I got aggressive because I was like, I know I'm fucking it up already and I sound so stupid. But...
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But the green beans and the tomato and the lamb.
The great thing about like Arabic and Middle Eastern language is that every region has like a slightly different way of saying things. So like you can just be like, that's how our tribe.
I'm really glad though that I said it close enough that you knew.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And then, but one time the lamb was so gamey when he made it. And I was like, what if you put your meatballs in this instead? Like, because he makes meatballs at Christmas. And he was like, what the hell? Why would you say that?
Honestly, that sounds great.
I think so too.
Yeah, that's like a spin. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, why does the lamb have to be so gamey? Okay, like,
I don't want to play this game.
I don't want to play this game. Yeah. So he does that. And then she, like, for taco, she would like destroy taco night. It was so fucking good. She would like fry the tortillas. She would like make the chicken with potatoes and like make the handmade guacamole, and like it was so amazing. And I miss that a lot now that I don't live with her anymore. She did do like the customs of like the baby Jesus and the cake and stuff. I feel like that's not
the king cake.
Yes, the king cake. We would do that. It was mostly like through food. I feel like they both kind of were pushed out of their cultures in a way, because she had to like get out due to poverty and stuff, and then his like he's like further down generationally, so it wasn't as impacting to him. But I do feel like as a family, I've always felt like we were an island of just different people, like when we just needed to assimilate to wherever we were and just try and be accepted by the neighbors. So like like sometimes I feel like I'm learning about like Mexican and Lebanese culture. I'm like, I'm like Googling. I'm like, what is it? So yeah, I feel like food mostly. And like sometimes like they'll drop in and like tell me stories about this or that, but culturally I would say mostly food.
Can you please tell us the story about your dad post 9/11 and the neighbors?
Oh yeah, okay. So
I love this story so much.
So I don't know if you heard, but 9/11 happened, and it was kind of a big old deal. There was some scare out there. People were upset, and I just like, from my point of view as like a little kid, I thought that a drunk person took over a plane and crashed. Like that's like the only time I heard about crashing.
Oh my God,
like
that's
drunk
like
driving.
the stork drops the baby version of 9/11. Okay.
And then the World Trade Center, I thought that had to do with sports. I was really out of the loop. But like, he never told me during how scared he felt. And like, so he would keep that to himself. He was very stoic always growing up. I feel like we became friends when I became like a teenager, but I felt like I was kind of like afraid of him. He was pretty stoic and stuff. And sorry if you're listening to this, Dad. But we were actually moving from Arizona to Northern California, and we were like, I don't want to brag, but we're kind of a big deal in the church community in Arizona. And people were telling stories about our family to us as we were leaving. And this one family that moved in like 4 years before we moved or something, they stood up and said that our family was very welcoming. We were like the first very welcoming family to them in the church community, and they're really going to miss us and stuff. And he said, but the first meeting was so weird because he flew here from Michigan with his family, and like him and his wife are on their way to the first family church meeting, which is like the church families used to gather at one house. And like someone would host it, and this family meeting they were going to was hosted at our house, my parents' house. And so they're like driving over with their kids, and they're like, we miss our old church community back in Michigan. We're so nervous to meet this new church community. And they were just like feeling very nervous. And then they get to the house, and they're like, we're just gonna try and meet these new people with an open mind. An open heart. And so they ring the doorbell, and then my dad steps out in like a Hawaiian shirt and sandals, and he closes the door behind him, and he goes, hello, my name is Victor Assad, and I am a proud Lebanese man. And they were just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't think they probably had met a Lebanese person. Like, they were from Michigan.
They don't even know where Lebanon is.
They don't even know what Lebanon is. And
No, there's so many Muslims in Michigan. Dearborn is like, there's
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Well, maybe
It's
they
true.
did, but from their point of view, they were like, this is the weirdest thing. Like, because they were already so nervous and scared. And now my dad is giving them a speech about being Lebanese and how proud he is. And apparently my mom like was trying to get them like drunk very fast. So they were like, who are these people? And we're like, what do they want from us? And we all just turned to my dad and we were like, what the fuck? Like, why would you do that to people? Why would you just like announce your ethnicity like at the door to strangers? And he was like, well, it was 9/11, okay? And I didn't want to give in to like the fear of Arabs, but I didn't want to hide either. And we were like, okay.
this was on actual 9/11, or
No,
this
I
was like
think
an anniversary.
it was
Okay, like the
it was
first
in
year.
the same year.
Oh,
I
okay.
think,
Okay, got it.
where
It's
like
right
people
after.
were attacking like
Yes.
stores and stuff.
Yes,
and
I remember.
there was a lot, and there was like today. I feel like there was a conversation about the like be respectful. Like, I mean, there's a lot of arguments going on.
Yeah.
I don't think that argument was even present at that time.
Oh,
Would you
interesting.
say?
Well,
Like,
I don't think there was like enough Arab people who like had a voice and
In the
could push
media.
back on
Yeah.
Islamophobia back then. Like I feel like even I was like, we're the enemy because that's
yeah.
everyone's telling me we are. So
Yeah.
we must be.
Yeah, he said that when he would fly internationally, they would like detain him longer and like ask him questions and search his stuff. And like, but he wasn't mad about it, he said.
I will say dating
Yeah.
a white man has done wonders for my like getting across borders
Yeah.
and like getting through TSA. Like with a white man on your arm, that's the best passport you can have. Let me tell you.
Well, yeah, I talk about this on stage too, that like my dad, when he is at the airport, besides like the 9/11 scares, for the most part, he's having a grand old time in there. You know, he looks like Bob Costas and Mark Hamill. They're just like, right away, Star Wars, you know, like do your thing. Whereas my mom, she has his last name and her like darker complexion, and she's always having a hard time. And like it's usually like sound off by the last name.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, did
Yeah.
she take it?
She took,
Yeah.
she has his last name, and my joke is like she took his last name because she's stupid, and like, like, so like, but there have been like so many times where like he is like flying through fine, and they're like pulling her aside and patting her down and searching her, and he's like laughing on the other side because like she's like even told him, she's like, I'm not even Arab, like he's the Arab person, not me.
She rats him out.
She does, yeah. She'd be a bad brat. They both, well, no, actually, he can take things to the grave, but she would be like, what do you want? I'm a terrible secret keeper, you know? Very chatty, yeah.
Cleopatra was no stranger to controversy. What
Yeah.
is a controversial opinion that you hold?
I think I'm actually getting nervous. Well, if you do, okay. I think Meryl Streep can sit down.
Wow.
No.
See, that's
No.
what I'm saying.
Oh,
People get
Wow.
mad.
She was born in my hometown, so I have a bit
So
of a affinity towards her. But yeah, I mean, I feel like she wants to sit down.
I
I just
honestly.
had a fight or flight response to that controversial
I
opinion.
also feel like I'm not mad at her personally.
Yes, you're just like, she's gotten enough things, give
She's
it to
gotten
someone
so
else.
much.
Doesn't she win these awards? And she's like, you could have given it to someone else.
But you
Isn't that her
can't do
general?
that without telling your PR team to fight like hell.
Yeah, that's true. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
like,
yeah.
They're just, I remember
But if you work so hard and you're that good,
she
then
is
yeah.
really great. I'm not saying she's not talented. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve a lot of things. But I am saying that sometimes she's taken a seat that we all know that she's had that maybe some other women of color in Hollywood could enjoy and reap benefits from sometimes. And really, it's just like award season.
Okay,
Like, I'm not
I
saying,
understand
like-
in that. Okay,
Yeah,
I
like-
thought you meant like in her career in general.
I don't really care what she does. You know, like she's awesome and great, of course, because I don't want to be murdered. But like, you know, sometimes I just feel like we're forced to talk about these people that we already know are great. And like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, can we share attention to like other amazing talent, like maybe Viola Davis sometimes?
I did hear on NPR they were talking about Emma Stone versus Lily Gladstone and that whole thing. And they were like, Emma Stone did have like this incredible performance, but I think a lot of the Oscars is like amplifying someone who doesn't necessarily get the amplification regularly. So even if they had equal performances, probably it should have gone in the other direction just because Lily has so much more to gain than Emma Stone. And I thought that was an interesting point.
I didn't see either of those movies
Okay.
because I get very upset and sad easily. But I just feel like I was talking mostly like there was one award season between Meryl Streep and Viola Davis, and I went to Meryl, and then she did this whole thing where she didn't even care she won and blah blah blah, and I was like, then let the other person. I mean, I know the Academy votes and stuff. But like knowing behind the scenes how hard you have to campaign for it, all of the like lunches you have to buy people, apparently like campaigns are won because you invite people to these campaign dinners and pay for their dinner, and whoever has the biggest campaign wins is what I understand from campaign
They say
season.
that's why Greta Gerwig wasn't nominated for Best Director, because the Directors Guild is like 90% men.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, Barbie, that's not a real movie.
Yeah, like I've even been to some campaign stuff, and like the person who took me was like, yes, whoever has the best food at these wins the awards. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, good thing we're Middle Eastern women, because you know we're going to nail the food.
Yeah. So that's my very controversial opinion. I'm not saying she's untalented. I think she's talented. And I do often not share popular opinions. So, you know, but
I think that's all fair and reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were saying she was untalented, I think we'd be like, er? But
No.
I understand where you're coming from.
I got very upset, and this was back in like 2012 when this award season was. Like Viola Davis was up for The Help, which now everybody hates, so whatever. And then Meryl Streep was up for The Iron Woman. And I really wanted Viola to win, and I got so angry when Meryl won, and then got up and gave that blasé speech, which is like, whatever. I'm not taking away again. She's talented and stuff. But it did just feel like a normal reflection of the industry, just like rewarding the light story over this other story that at that time was like very scrappily made. Like Viola had to like him, like she executive produced it and she brought it together, and she knew she'd be hated for playing that character, but like she wanted to do it anyways, and she did an amazing job. So yeah, that is my big controversial opinion. Yeah.
We thank you for being so brave and
I'm a
sharing
little
that.
scared.
So vulnerable, yeah.
I'm a little scared. I could have
You'll never work in
really-
this town again.
I know, honestly, probably, but I wasn't really working before, so it'll be okay.
Joke's on you. I was unemployed
I'm
already.
unemployable always. Yeah.
So now it is time for our segment called Dig Deep. This is
Okay.
where we ask a couple of deep questions. The first one is Cleopatra was portrayed by Elizabeth Taylor in the 1963 film.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Another white
if
lady
your life,
who could sit down.
if your life were a crossover of two films or TV shows, what would it be? Like, what's the log line of your show? Or your life, rather.
Fuck. I feel like the log line would be like, it's actually a comedy, don't be fooled. It'll seem hard, but then you'll be like, oh, okay, it worked out. A crossover. I mostly watch Disney movies, so hang on one second. Coco, definitely Coco. Coco meets Parks and Rec. I would say.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
Very
really
nice.
fun.
Yeah, I had,
Two bangers.
I did have to dig deep for that. Because there's a part of me that's like, my life's not that hard. I don't know. Yeah, I would say Coco. Coco explains like generational trauma like so well. Like I feel like just even the fact they made the way the father separated from the family, all that stuff was like chef's kiss, so beautifully explained.
And who would play you? It doesn't have to be a woman.
It doesn't have to be a woman.
It's more like an energy than
An energy?
Yeah. Also, I do see the Leslie Knope in you for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you for saying that,
absolutely.
Lynn. Oh
I
my
see that. First, the way you like love your best friends is very like
Yes.
Leslie Knope,
Oh my God.
and like
I'm
your
always-
activism.
Thank you.
I see it.
Honestly, I've always like felt like if I was to compare myself to another celebrity, it would be to a celebrity, it'd be Aubrey Plaza. But just in the sense that I feel like she must think about identity and that she doesn't fit in with identity either. I don't know if we have like some mannerisms maybe, but I'm not as like deadpan as her. Like her thing's like very specific.
Yeah, you're allowed to have somebody play you. But
Yeah.
I loved in
aspirational.
White Lotus when she called it out. She's like, yeah, they invited their most accessibly diverse friends. And there's like,
Yes.
I love that this was like, I don't know, just like captured so specifically, because I always feel like the accessibly diverse friend.
Yeah. I would say Aubrey Plaza plays me and then Paul Rudd plays Mark.
Oh,
Love it.
That's so cute.
Yes. And then also, but I also, like, if I'm on set, like, Paul Rudd and I can make out, and that's okay. Like, everyone thinks it's cool if that was.
It's actually in his contract.
It's actually in
he
his
has
contract,
to.
but, like, he said it's okay. It's not, like, assault or anything like
Got
that.
it.
It's fun. Yeah.
Who's Paul Rudd married to in real life?
I don't care. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, I think that would be it.
That's perfect. So last question. Cleopatra had a long legacy as a scholar and a leader and many, many things. What would you like your legacy to be, and or what would you like your epitaph to read?
Whoa. Hopefully joyful. Like, she left a lot of joy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
A lot of joy in community, and like hopefully like fame and money, but also like I guess the joy in community and stuff. Yeah, I feel like when I make stuff, I do wish it like would become famous and viral. Like I hope the shows I'm putting these time and money to does like grow into something bigger and financially sustainable, but also like the joy of like really what keeps me coming back to these projects is like when they're put on, like both performer and audience like feel electric when they're there, and we feel like connected and happy and excited like for a moment in this kind of insane time right now. Like you can feel good and excited to be there, even if it's just like 70 minutes long. So yeah, I would say joy.
I love that. I do feel like a lot of showrunners are forgetting the element of like electricity. It's always like, who can I get a favor from? Who do it? But I love that.
Yeah, I think like I did theater before comedy, and I feel like learning about community in theater like has helped me. Like that's what I want the shows to feel like.
Yeah.
Community and stuff, but also like super cool and fun.
Community is what makes it cool and fun. I love that. That's a great way to produce.
Yeah. And funny. I don't know. I was like, if like a poop joke too to close it out or something. Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier about how some of the comedians that I respect so much, they've been in the game for such a long time, and I think that the longevity, I'm always like, how do they do it? I feel like I'm already like burning out a little bit. And I think part of the key, or I suspect, because I haven't been doing it for 20 years, but part of it is that ability to build the community and to have connection. Like that's what makes it sustainable.
I feel like one time Jackie Cation was like on a panel about like making it in stand-up. And it was funny because like the first question was like, what made you like make it or whatever, or what was your making it moment? And she goes, didn't have it. Next question. And then like the person asking her question was like, no, you had this and this, and she was like, oh yeah, that did make things easier. And then they were kind of asking her, I can't remember how she got to this moment, but she was like, you getting to do stand-up is the reward. That is it.
Absolutely.
And if that's not it for you, then maybe do something else, because it doesn't really get easier. So like you just have to like it. And I think that's why I do enjoy producing shows, is it's like I can set myself up to like enjoy it the most.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that is our show.
That is our show.
Unless is there anything you'd like to plug?
Come see Mermaid Comedy Hour, and listen to Kari Assad Ghost Detective if you want, and you can hear Christie and Lynn's episode, which is really good, and also Lynn's episode where we found out she's a very nice roommate.
It's a very succinct way of putting it.
Yeah.
All right, we will plug the pod and the show and your socials in the show notes. I guess that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Christy Vana.
I'm Lynn Molly.
I'm Kari Assad.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
All right.